shut down decently. They got a kill on him early, and being able to just kind of isolate him out of fights. On top of that, Misery wasn't able to have too big of an impact. That game felt a lot like just Razor and Whisk going around dominating, and they did such a good job of it as well. How many times, as a statistic, I want to know how many times does a tower not get touched at all in a 35-minute plus game? Like, not even dinked.
Yeah, it
Didn't
helps
even
a lot.
see it.
Even when you don't have to. I mean, they really just could ignore it. They just went for the hero kills endlessly. Used the link to just sap tons of damage and then 4-shot some guy. I mean, all those support heroes, they didn't have very much armor either. That helped a lot. So, made a lot more simple to score the kills. So.
Yeah, just a really. It just seems like LGD International. They're going to this kind of route where we kind of pick unconventional heroes, but they end up working fantastically.
Yeah.
We saw kind of an all-around style from them today, and I think it was really effective, especially with the way that they run the Wisp. I think they're actually running the Wisp better than any Eastern team right now.
Wow. How do you feel about Game 2 coming up? Do you think that they can take the 2-0 and go for I mean, that's overall. That would put them overall 4-0 for today. For all of the matches that they played for the whole Group A stage, that would mean they didn't lose anything other than the matches where they didn't show up or couldn't actually make it.
I'd be really surprised if they were given Wisp again, and I'd be really surprised. I mean, I know Lifestealer has seen some nerfs, but especially if you put him in the mid lane, where open wounds isn't that big of a deal, and you mitigate the nerf, where you can just kind of pick up levels and you max it a bit earlier than you normally would, I just think you can't give up the Lifestealer.
Yeah.
I think that hero actually might just be as deadly as the Wisp. So, but if I had to say, judging by the way that LGD International is playing, looks like they have quite a bit of strategies up their sleeves.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me too. Every game they throw something weird from the left field, and there they are doing some. I mean, they did Razor. Like, were you expecting a Razor pick?
No, I don't think anybody.
I sure was not.
We should just like throw out a random hero. Let's do it.
Carrier Shaker.
Carrier Shaker. All right. So if a Carrier Shaker happens, Purge is
right.
Purge is a god.
That's where I'm gonna stop. All right,
so
guys.
based.
So that was game 1. We're gonna have game 2 coming up in a bit with LGD.int versus MUFC. If you guys want to watch that, please stay tuned, and we'll be back in a bit with the next match.
It's time for our final match, ladies and gentlemen. It's MUFC versus LGD International. Winner of this match improves to 4-4 in the group, and it sets up some potentially interesting tiebreakers depending on who prevails. I'm LD. I'm joined by Blitz. And Blitz, we just got done watching LGD.int pick a Wisp and a Prophet and really make it work. And, of course, the engine of that draft was probably G on the Lifestealer. Took it solo mid. Very impressive performance from him. This time around, as we hop inside the draft, it has been banned out.
Yeah, and I actually predicted it. There's no way that you're going to give G a hero that he's just been absolutely crushing on 3 games in a row. I think people overestimated the nerf on the Lifestealer, but LGD International making it work by just putting it mid instead.
I mean, even in a tri-lane, he's not necessarily that much weaker if you have a setup. If you have something like Shadow Demon, Lina, Lifestealer, that's still a very strong tri-lane. It's more if the Lifestealer is your initiator, or if he's intended to be. Those kinds of lanes don't work early on, but mid-game, he's identical, just with a 100 lower initiation range, which is basically nothing, because you're already going phase drums on Lifestealer most games anyway. Most heroes can't outrun you.
Yeah, and MUFC going to switch it up a little, picking the Visage. I wonder if LGD is going to go back to that Wisp Nature's Prophet that they've been running all day.
I'm just face-palming.
I can't believe MUFC is going to let this happen again. They have to have something else to deal with this. I'd imagine another offensive tri-lane, but this time featuring the Visage, who's actually the best offensive tri-laner.
The difference is they have Visage, and he's a good tri-laner. He also gives you ridiculous burst damage. We saw in the last fights that the Wisp would basically die to a Laguna Blade in the last game, and sure, she got the relocate off. She brings a carry hero into the fray, but Soul Assumption, you don't have to wait until level 6. You could just start hitting mini Laguna Blades long before then. They'll also get a Void. We thought maybe they would go for that last game. I still feel like a Void would have been a safer option than an Alchemist just because of the lockdown he gives you, and a great hero to deal with Lifestealer, as we talked about as the game goes later. Also, just a Chrono Wisp, focus her down. They'll pick it up now, and I actually like this choice a lot.
Yeah, Faceless Void is one of the most annoying heroes to play against. He doesn't flash farm very well. He's kind of hard to play offensively, but at the same time, once you get into those mid-game team fights and you can Chrono is such a deadly spell. I mean, it's just the way that Void works, you're definitely going to get it off. It just depends on how many heroes, who you're going to get it off on. I mean, you can essentially just lock down a carry.
It's like playing against a Darkseer, where there's Vacuum Wall, and it completely changes the way you approach any sort of push or aggressive engagement.
Yeah, and actually, it's a hero that MUFC runs really well, too.
It's one of Hot and Trash players' most comfortable heroes. I don't know what his win rate is on it, but I feel like he does, whether he wins more games or not on Void, I almost don't care, because just from having cast him a lot on this hero, he's a lot more comfortable with this than something like an Alchemist, I feel, and it plays more to their strengths, which ultimately is a very strong 5-man composition. They had a decent one last game, but going for Alchemist somewhat limits your 5-man. End of the day, it was a lot of single target, not a lot of AoE stuns. They start this one off with AoE stuns from the Familiars, and then the Void as well with the Chronosphere.
Yes, and actually Clockwork and Darks are going to be banned out. LGD realizing that not a lot of long laners, actually no long laners or 3-position heroes were picked by MUFC, and this is actually a really smart double ban out.
There is a Weaver available who does alright against something like a Nature's Prophet, especially, well, he probably would be in the off lane is the one concern here, because when you go Void, you mentioned, not the best aggressive hero, so they really need that off lane 3 position as well, which somewhat further restricts the pool of possible options. We'll see who they go for.
Yeah, it's really surprising to see a Visage get picked up, and not, especially if you know that it's going to be a Nature's Prophet bottom, most likely, right? Since they are playing on the Dire, and it's going to be a Wisp top. I figured that they think that the best way to deal with it would be to offensive tri-lane it, but no, they're actually going to opt to pick up the Faceless Void. I mean, that's a hero that has a really large difficulty actually aggressive tri-laning. I mean,
he doesn't win the laning stage. You pick a Void, unless you find some weird 1v1 mid which works, which Void, there's a very small list of heroes he can take mid. Something like a Lifestealer maybe it does okay, but we're not going to see that anyway. So outside of that, I don't know, Blitz. I think it's more just it's MUFC's comfort zone. Maybe it's not on paper the best draft, but for their roster, for their play style, I still think it's a suitable choice and probably better than something like an Alchemist or even the Darkseer, which frankly the walls were not very good in game 1, and I thought it was one of the reasons they struggled.
The laning phase though by TFG was fantastic. I mean, he
true.
played that lane about as well as I've seen somebody play against G. Able to pick up a solo kill. His vacuums, the surges, they were almost always on point. But at the same time, I mean, I kind of agree. You your heroes that you're good at, right?
Yeah,
You
play to your
cater
strengths.
team's. Yeah, exactly. You cater to your team's needs. It's like every team that I play with picks me Storm, regardless of what's on the other team, because that's the only hero I can play.
Speaking of Storm, well, there's no Lifestealer this game, so I doubt we'll see him.
Yeah.
They'll
Actually,
go Venge.
Vengeful Spirit.
CK's in the pool, and they say no. We want Venge.
I actually don't think that CK is really strong with Wisp, but I think LGD has kind of found their groove without having to pick that hero. They're just showing a variety of heroes that work. And Venge actually works fantastically against Faceless Void too. We talked about Void being such a great hero at shutting down a carry, but what happens if the Vengeful Spirit just waits and then just swaps the carry out?
Yeah, swaps the carry out, swaps the Void out into our team, just initiates the fight in such a way that even if Void comes in Chronos, someone's already dead. So he's already fighting 4v5 or even 3v5, 3v4. Well, it could always be a man-up situation. That's what the Venge gives you. And now their ability to chase and pick you off is actually insane. We saw last game Venge swapping forward to get in range, to even swapping her teammates back to get in range to throw out a magic missile. We saw relocate ganks with Venge, swapping opponents straight into her team. So many creative ways to use that hero. And well, for MUFC, they go Rubik now. They'll shore up their initiation. They're trialing a little bit with this pick. And now I guess the big question is, what are those solos going to be? Rubik pretty much always a support nowadays, and I don't really know who's left. There's a Dragon Knight in the pool, but LGD.int will snap that up.
Queen of Pain, man. That's all I see FCFC play.
Does well against Dragon Knight. Does well against Dragon Knight 1v1, and also could snowball this game because there are two stuns that are sort of reliable. Your Magic Missile, your Dragon Tail, and only one of those is a range stun. You can still Blink Disjoint the Magic Missile. I feel like Queen of Pain could have a big impact here. Or maybe even something like a Templar Assassin. I feel that would be very strong too.
Yeah. I actually saw FCFC play that hero like 6 games in a row. No, it's going to be a Puck. And
Team fight heavy.
They anticipate Puck is so hard to disable because you can dodge the Vengeful Spirit Stun really easily because the animation is so exaggerated.
The only stun that's going to work for them here is the Dragon Tail.
Yeah.
Nothing else will be reliable against Puck.
So they pick a defensive hero mid. I actually really like that, especially with the amount of times that LGD.int has been rotating today with that 4 roll. I mean, Misery has just been a terror. He's been going mid, guaranteed every single time.
He's allergic to laning. He ends the laning stage at the 0-minute mark.
It's like, well, I could lane or I could kill.
Or I could roam, I could gank. It's great in pubs, but to see it in a pro game and to see it work is very unusual. To see 2 supports ganking isn't that weird, but just one roaming around and making things happen doesn't happen a whole lot.
Yeah, and the best thing about Misery as a support is he always manages to get farmed somehow. Like, I don't actually know how that guy just picks up, like, items. Just pops them like candy, but... The crazy thing, too, is that it continues to work, right? I mean, they know that Misery's going to come mid at some point. That's what he does. That's his role. Under, like, occupation, it's like, we'll come mid to help G sometimes.
Mid-comer. Or something like that. Yeah. Gyro, the final ban for LGD.int. They'll go TA. It now puts the Dragon Knight into an awkward laning situation. I guess he'll be a part of a defensive dual lane. And they'll send a TA mid, so G gets his snowball hero. I was going to say I wasn't sure about a G Dragon Knight, because
that doesn't really
it's not really a G hero, but the Templar Assassin certainly does. Also a hero that can give Puck fits. Yeah. This is a very tough matchup for the Puck. Probably won't die, but very hard to stay up in terms of CS.
Yeah, and it's actually okay in CS. The problem is that Templar Assassin, you can't kill her just with the Refract up. The Silence won't do any damage, the Orb won't do any damage. Sure, you can be defensive, but you can CS okay. It's not as bad as you might think.
The early levels are fine. It's more when TA hits like level 5 or 7, then it gets kind of hard, because Refraction is like basically your whole base damage, plus whatever the TA has for hers, and then last hitting becomes a little more troublesome.
I would have been really surprised, though, if G plays the Dragon Knight. It doesn't really seem like his kind of hero. He likes that space-creating snowballer that puts out physical damage.
And MUFC, as soon as you turn away, they say, let's pick up a Broodmother. We're going to completely change this game, and it'll be a Brood. It looks like they're angling... Well, do they want the Brood versus Prophet matchup here? I guess more likely even they just want the Brood against the Tri-Lane. It's actually hard for Wisp to deal with this. You look at LGD.int, they don't have any AoE from their supports to speak of. The Wisp Spirit's not really good AoE. The Venge just has Wave of Terror. Spiderlanes are going to be very fearsome through the early to mid game, and it's going to be hard for this Tri-Lane to deal with the Brood unless they can just kill the hero. If they're forced to fight the Spiderlanes, they'll be in trouble.
Yeah. And actually, it's really good hero in a situation like this. The knock on the hero, though, is that if a fight happens across the map, what are you going to do with a hero like Brood, right?
You push.
I guess, but it's such a one-dimensional thing. all you have to do, and why it's kind of fallen out of favor, is you just kind of go the opposite lane, force fights, and it's a 4-on-5 situation, and you've devoted so much farm to your Brood. And with Glyph working the way it does, taking no damage from while the armor's up, I mean, it's just a little difficult. Especially since Brax can just continuously spam his ult, get some free Broodlings, money.
Money. Get holla, get Della, and that's what Brax will look to do in game number 2. It's a best of 2. LGD, and if they win this, they'll be 4-4. If they lose, they'll be 3-5. Same story for MUFC. Winner is going to be placed a little bit higher in this group on the side of LGD. And of course, we have Brax taking up the reins of the Nature's Prophet. Of course, handling the Wisp will be none other than 1437. I think he's played nearly all Wisp today. Pycat on the Dragonite G, on the Templar Assassin, and last but not least, it will be Misery actually leading the way here as the Vengeful Spirit. They're expecting an offlane Broodmother. They have Sentries and Dust at level 1. And oh boy, they're right. It is TFG playing Brood, and TFG's heading top. The rest of MUFC, they're your Malaysian upstarts. They are a solid sort of some middle-of-the-pack team for the International 3 contenders right now, I would say. Not a top team as of yet. Haven't shown the great results, but they've got a little bit of potential, this squad does. FCFC taking over the role of the puck. He'll be heading mid. We'll have Hontrash player. I wish he would use his real name. Playing the Faceless Void. Ling on the Visage. And Winter, last but not least, he is the darling of many an English viewer. Lot love him for his commentary, but we'll see if he can make big plays in the game itself. He'll be playing the Rubik.
Okay, so this is really smart by the Broodmother. She's actually placed sentries that her supports have given her just in that corner right under the T1 tower. And she's actually just waiting for the sentries to be placed preemptively so she can get one off by herself. And they don't actually know that she has sentries. They've seen her, they see no sentries on her, so it's just like really safe.
I was trying to find the sentries you were talking about. Finally found them. They are right next to the tower here, and now TFG picks them up. It kind of reminds me of Mouse, where they would run this Lifestealer pick, and they would actually plan to jungle it, but I believe it was actually, no, sorry, it's Koikfa. He always drops his Quelling Blade, and he goes to check the runes, so he acts like he's laning, but he's actually not. And now TFG drops the sentry, support Broodmother, roaming to D-Ward, level 1. Very unusual, but hey, end of the day, it'll make life a little bit easier and safer for this already hard-to-kill puck.
Yeah, do you see this lane at bottom? They've kind of like, Brax has kind of like half pulled the lane, so the fight actually just kind of starts in the middle of this jungle here.
Yeah, the creep waves, they both meet, they intersect there. It looks like MUFC messed up, or basically they disrupted the pull disruption of Brax. So it was a disruption of a disruption, a meta disruption, if you will. And they stopped Brax, at least for now, from messing up the creep equilibrium. He'll send in more Treants. It looks like they're going to play an Ohio-style Prophet here, where Prophet sacrifices himself to slow down the enemy tri-lane.
Yeah, and actually TFG getting into a right-click fight uses one of those sentries to...
There's a tether. There's a magic missile as well. Tether stun could be enough to set up an additional nuke, but they can't get in range. A little bit overzealous for Misery. Didn't use a dust, but did drop a sentry for that.
Yeah, this isn't exactly a dual lane that can really, or a dual support setup that can actually pressure this Brood too much. I mean,
only if the Dragonite's here.
Off.
They find the tether stun, trying to get in range as Pycat, but they're just trying to go when Pycat's too far away, and it's kind of the issue with the Dragonite pick in a tri-lane is he doesn't have a great stun. He's got to get right next to you, and that's a long way to chase away from the creep wave.
Yeah, the way that TFG plays this, you don't actually respond to what the supports do. You try to figure out what Pycat's doing, and actually the stun's going to land.
This could be bad for TFG. It could be our first blood. He's being body blocked, but it's not quite enough yet. Still running a final nuke barrage from LGD. That last salvo is sufficient. They invested a lot for that kill. It was all their mana on their supports. Most of the HP on Pycat, a dust and a sentry as well, but in the end, they do get the kill, and an important kill at that. Broodmother, one of those heroes that if she gets shut down too hard early, is just food the entire game.
The best thing, too, is that Pycat's going to be going for a Soul Ring, so I think what they're trying to do is just get Pycat a little strong early, get him a few levels. You know, once you get a few levels of the Dragon Blood, it's going to make it so that Brood can't really get into a right-click fight with you. And with the Soul Ring, giving you 3 HP regen on top of the HP regen you get from Dragon Blood, that's going to be insane.
And as for MUFC, their tri-lane hasn't managed to find a kill. They have Visage, Rubik, putting a lot of pressure on the lane early. They pushed it into the tower, and they're denying a bit of farm here to Hontrash player, who will slightly be behind the Dragonite. 3 less denies, 1 last hit, but they've also given Brax a quick and easy level 2, and you compare that to TFG, it does have level 2, but it just feels like TFG is the one that's much more likely to die. How do you actually kill a Prophet with a level 3 Faceless Void with boots You need to be the Bash Lord. You need to summon the inner Bash Lord, and to do that this early, very unlikely.
Dude, that's why he's not going to be the Bash Lord, because you have no faith in him. If you have faith in the Bash Lord, he'll bash.
I don't
understand
I
how
don't,
faith works?
that sounds like pop psychology, Blitz.
No, it's a very basic concept. If you want something hard enough, you'll get it.
The secret.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's that book. Oh my god.
I wanted to be Asian, so I dreamed of it.
You wanted to be Chuan's lesbian sister. You dreamt it hard enough, and now you are.
I grew that hair.
And then you dreamed that it was over.
Then I wanted to be
You
his
wake
brother.
up one day, you cut your hair, and it's over.
I was like, now I want to be Chuan's son. Make a fashion statement.
Cow is quietly crying in the corner, but it's not stopping us.
We just continue. And actually, Dragon Knight going to pick up a Soul Ring here. This means that he should be able to be left up to his own devices. They're going to push this tower. And here's the knock on Brood. What do you really do against this? They pick up sentries. They have dust. How do you survive? They're going to place such an offensive ward here and just force them out of the lane. Pycat pops the Soul Ring. Going to breathe fire. Bring down the creeps. And this is 3 range creeps.
They'll dive in.
And a catapult.
They'll dive in bottom lane now. There's a time walk on the Brax. They pull him back in. There's a soul assumption available. I don't know if it's enough to find the kill. It comes in, but it won't be sufficient. They've TP'd 1437. The turnaround is there from the orbs, and Ling will fall. They actually double teleported, and now on the run is going to be I keep on wanting to call him TFG, but it's Han Trash player running through the river. Is there a sprout available? There's not, but the tether. Oh no! It catches 1437 up on the cliff. Not where Wisp really wants to be. Meanwhile, top lane, TFG gets stunned, gives up a tower last hit. He has hit level 4, so they lose a hero bottom lane, but they force 2 TPs, and I think most importantly, they get some levels for TFG, who was really struggling in this top lane.
Yeah, but at the same time, Ling goes down in an offensive tri-lane, trying to dive that Nature's Prophet, and Brax manages to live. That's not exactly what you want to see. And at the same time, Han Trash player zoned out of farm for some time. Now he's 4 behind Pycat, and meanwhile, in middle lane, it's not exactly going the way you wanted. FCFZ is losing.
I feel like FCFC is doing all right considering the matchup, and considering how well G's been playing mid. But yeah, end of the day, he's still losing his lane.
Yeah, it's actually a lane, though, that we did predict he wouldn't do too well in, but is managing to get a CS off. And the big thing about Puck 2 is he's the better team fighter of the 2 heroes.
Uh-oh. TFG might walk into the Sentry Ward. The dust is deployed, and now he'll give him the runaround. He'll head north. It's going to be a little bit of arena around the Rosie as well. He doesn't actually have mana for a web. Do they know it? They still are chasing. They're saying, TFG, you'd better pop a web soon. Pycat, the creeps deny him at every corner, but now the net might close. It's going to be Winter waiting for G. He can lift him up and throw him back, but there's just no damage every time. They try to cliff him. Winter can't quite find the angle. Now the orb comes through. It'll hit the supports, but it doesn't affect G. Finally, he gets mana for the web. And he'll pop into it. He'll be able to escape.
The puck ult was used, though, to try to stop G from continuing to go on. I think that was a bit of an overreaction, especially since the Broodmother was able to pop everything off. But FZFC, this does lower his teamfight potential by quite some.
LGD.int really hates the laning stage. I just can't reiterate this enough. They're so antsy. It's like that hyperactive ADD child in school who just cannot sit in his chair. He's got to run around. He's got to speak out of turn, and that's what LGD.int are doing. They're constantly roaming off the lanes. They're TPing at a drop of a hat to defend the bottom lane. Constant aggression, constant movement as well from G, and so far it just feels like MUFC being kept off the rhythm. They now trail by 2,500 gold. My goodness, that's a hefty lead to be down only 1 tower and down another 1,500 gold on top of the tower gold, and also by 750 experience. This game looking better and better for LGD.int. And end of the day, Blitz, they have, I would say, a stronger late game lineup than they did last game, and they're winning the laning stage very hard.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Pycat just continuing to pressure top, and that's a lot of damage done on that top tower. It's already taken 600 at 7 minutes. Pycat is solo pushing. They need to do something to pressure him off this tower just because, I mean, at this rate, he's going to take it down. And TFG getting burned out. That's a tower.
He can't actually stand in this lane any longer. He just gets spammed out, basically.
Yeah. The regen from the level 1 Dragon Blood and the Soul Ring is enough to kind of keep him off the lane, and this is going to be a tower. He should be able to get the deny. Oh, yes, he does.
I was checking mid for a second. Thought we might have some action there, but my eyes deceived me. LGD, they keep 3 top. Now the coil deployed. Pycat caught out. The silence comes through. That orb hits too. A good little fight here for MUFC, but Pycat's still alive. And through the tether, well, they may find more kills yet. Finally, the Wisp goes down. Pycat on the run. He'll head south. Can't escape. MUFC, they close the net. They descend here. The orb comes through again. TFG picks up a double. 2 towers down top lane, but now level 7. all things considered, Broodmother against a tri-lane for much of this game, this is not too bad for him, and that was a great little engagement for MUFC.
Yeah, that's actually going to help get him back into the game. He's got level 7 now. The issue is that he hasn't really been able to make too many moves in terms of being able to pressure anywhere on the map. And on top of that, I mean, Brax, he hasn't really hit any sort of effectiveness, but he's going to have his Midas soon. He's got 1,400 gold if he opts to go for that route. And once he gets his ultimate, it's going to just allow G to be able to pick off kills for free.
It's not just Brax, it's G as well. Yeah, G now up to, has the double damage run up, 47 CS. You compare that to the Puck, it's not really FC's fault. I mean, the matchup is hard anyway to keep up in terms of farm, but more importantly, he's been forced to move a lot, whereas G's just been able to sit mid comfortably and plink away at the tower, and he's going to force the teleport now. He's got refraction and a double damage up. He'll start to not even chip away. He'll just take huge gashes of HP out of this tower, and then he'll back off. No TPs forced yet. TFG feeling confident, struts up, the Spiderling army is here, but the Breathe Fire brings them down in a hurry. And I guess for MUC, the X factor has to be this free farm Faceless Void, safe lane, 55 CS, power treads up, along with the Rain of Health. He'll be going for a Battle Fury. It's the window between now, when he gets the Battle Fury, and then when he gets the next item. That's where LGD are really going to have opportunities to make things happen. But once he gets the Battle Fury, gets maybe the Mask of Madness, the BKB, then I think they'll stabilize. Can they last that long? That's the real question.
Yeah, Pycat is applying a lot of pressure. I really like this decision to go Soul Ring. He's going to pick up a wand as well. I wonder what kind of item he's going to go in terms of damage. I don't actually know if he needs a BKB, just because there's a lot of physical damage on MUFC. So I think going for maybe like an armlet.
Yeah, maybe something like an armlet. Drums would be okay if they want to gank, but he is kind of their... I don't know if he's their one position, but he's the one who's getting... I don't know. I mean, he could almost go utility, to be honest, because end of the day, they do have a solo mid TA who's getting pretty close to free farm.
Yeah, a Shadow Blade would also be worth it, but maybe he does end up going really, really safe, picking up the BKB. I mean, the Chrono won't really kill him, though, in the time that he's Chrono, just because the armor is so high.
Yeah, it's pretty much invulnerability for him.
Yeah, and actually, G gonna go for that drums that we actually see so
Top
often.
lane, there's a coil, catches out Misery. Excuse me, was that a coil? Yeah, it was dropped. Just wasn't sure because the animation was a little bit hard to see. But Pycat, now an orb comes through. TFG trying to catch him out, and TFG starting to really have an impact in these skirmishes because they all keep on happening in his lane. Pycat will drop again, along with that Vengeful Spirit of Misery, and that's 2 down, 2 on the sidelines.
Yeah, now he's on a killing spree, and FCFC being able to rotate really heavily.
His movement has been superb this game.
Yeah, he's going to actually rush a Blink Dagger, and he's going to have it right now at 11 minutes.
That's huge, and you compare what G can... What he should be able to do with this Blink Dagger just far outstrips anything G can bring to bear for now. Misery wants the tower mid.
Why?
Oh, that was so greedy by Misery. That was ridiculously greedy.